You know, getting a new kitten can be super fun and exciting. I personally have done it many times in my life. I've also had 2 litters of kittens born in my house, so I know how it is from literally day one. I watched them all be born. My most recent is my current cat, Whiskers. He's 4 years old now, but I got him when he was just a tiny kitten. As a matter of fact, he was a feral kitten when I got him, and that was a whole new experience. But getting a kitten is really fun, but there are obviously things you need to do to prepare, things you need to do to make sure that your kitten is okay and safe and happy in their new home. So in today's video, we're going to go over 4 tips for bringing your new kitten home. We're going to talk about how long it takes for kittens to adjust. We're also going to talk a little bit about what if you have other pets, like introducing your other pets to the new kitten, and, you know, most importantly, making sure your new kitten is safe with your other pets. And I'm also, before I forget, I'm going to give you a link in the description box for a new kitten checklist. It's a printable list for everything that you need for your new kitten. So go ahead and grab that before you leave this video. I'll try to remember to remind you about that at the end of the video. And this is going to seem really negative, but I'm going to put this in at the end of this video. What to do if it doesn't work out. Okay, sometimes people get a new kitten or new puppy, new dog or cat, and it simply doesn't work out for whatever reason, okay? So I'm going to go ahead and give you that information at the end of this video on if for whatever reason it doesn't work out with your new kitten, what to do, okay? Specifically how to find a suitable home for that kitten. Okay, so I hope so much that today's video is helpful. Thank you so much for joining me. My name is Deborah. I own this website called peoplelovinganimals.com. I do videos all about the care and health and training of dogs and cats. I do have a link in the description box to my newsletter if you'd like to go ahead and sign up for that. I'm going to give you a link to this post on my website, Tips for Introducing a New Kitten to Your Home. I'm going to give you a link to this in the description box. I'm also going to give you a link to everything that we talk about, so you'll be able to find everything there. Like I say, getting a new kitten is super fun and exciting, but we do want to go over some tips and things that you can do to make the transition smooth and to make sure that your kitten is happy, right? You want your little sweetie to be happy. 4 tips for bringing a new kitten into your home. Number 1, every kitten needs its own spot to call home, at least for a while. You should always have a safe place for a cat. Okay, you have to remember that in the wild, cats are prey. Okay, they need to have an escape route. They need to feel like they can stay hidden. It's a primal instinct, okay, no matter how young your kitten is. So make sure first and foremost that you give that to your kitten. Maybe you give them a cat perch where they can jump up high. Maybe they have a little cozy, cat bed in a quiet corner somewhere. Make sure that they have a place where they can feel safe and where they feel like they can escape and, go and be protected, by themselves and be safe. It's really, really important. Also, I don't think that pet owners always realize how intimidating and overwhelming it can be for a pet to come into your house, regardless of their age, right? Think of a kitten. They're not even 6 inches tall. Like, can you imagine, what it's like to be a tiny kitten and be in a new environment? Like, sometimes I think that we just don't realize, like, how intimidating it is. And I also think that sometimes we forget that the kitten is still a kitten. You virtually have just brought a new baby into the house. They're babies, they're just little. So it's like, oh, you get the new kitten, and for a week everybody's like, oh, and then, a week or 2 goes by and everybody's like, just expect the kitten to blend in. Well, the kitten's only a week older. Do you know what I mean? So I think that you have to keep in mind that you're bringing a baby into this house with this new kitten, and you need to treat the kitten like the baby that they are for as long as they are a baby. Do you know what I mean? And just always be aware of how overwhelming it can be for them. Okay, kind of think of it from their perspective. If you were this big and not even 6 inches tall, how would you feel? What would you need? What would you need to feel safe? Also, if they have anything from their previous home if they, a blanket or a toy or something from their previous home, obviously, make sure that they have that and keep that for them. Just little reminders maybe that are just familiar. If they didn't come with any of their own stuff, give them their own stuff. Give them their own little kitty bed, their own little toy, their own little blanket. Give them stuff that belongs to them. And again, it goes back to their primal instinct. In the wild, cats will hoard their belongings. They will hoard. This is mine, this is mine, this is mine, this is mine. If you've ever seen a cat rub their chin on things like this, on things, on you, on toys, on furniture, whatever, I've read that they have actual scent glands, and what they're doing is they're putting their scent on that item, which might be you, and it's a way for them to claim it as their own. They put their scent on the things that are theirs. And again, they're in the wild. They're competing with other cats. They're prey to other animals. They need to be protected. They need to have their food. You know what I mean? So it's just keep in mind what a cat's primal instincts are and give them, what they need. And one of those things is a safe place to hide, and also things that belong to them that they can have for themselves. Number 3, keep the noise down. Again, you don't realize how intimidating it can be for a small kitten. Even big movements, lots of noise, if you have a lot of people, just remind yourself that you have a new baby in the house, essentially. And everybody should be mindful not to scare the kitten. Loud noises, lots of people over, just be aware of how whatever is happening in your house looks to the kitten. How is it affecting the kitten, right? Number 4 is to keep a routine. This is really crucial, not just for kittens, but for all animals. Animals thrive on routine. They very much like to know and find comfort in knowing what's going to happen next. And this is particularly important for a cat because, again, in the wild, cats are prey. They want to know. They want predictability. They want safety. They want security. Okay, so having a regular set routine is really, really going to help your new kitten. This is when we get up in the morning. This is when we eat. This is the litter box. This is when we sit at night and we watch TV. This is when we snuggle. This is when we're gone and you sleep in your little kitty bed. This is when we eat. You know what I mean? Really try to stick to a routine with your kitten, and it'll help them a lot to feel a lot more secure. I'm going to give you a link in this post for this ebook on how to understand cat language. It's really good. It's just a nice resource for cat owners to have, so I'll give you the link to that. How long does it take for a kitten to adjust to their new homes? It's going to take them less time the more that you do the right things, to make them feel comfortable, make them feel secure, make sure they're not scared all the time. Some will adapt quicker and some won't. I just have a friend who just adopted a cat recently. I want to say the cat is 9 years old. It's not a kitten. But it was only like the first day that he adopted the cat from the SPCA, and it was like just the first day she was like nervous, and just by the second day she was fine. Like she was like, "Hey, this is my new home," I also adopted a miniature dachshund once that I rescued. Well, I don't want to say I rescued. I adopted her from an animal rescue place, and I went there, and there was tons of dogs, and she was staying at this place or whatever. But anyway, I took her in and adopted her. And from day one, she came in. I had bought a little pet bed for her, bought a little chew bone for her. She came into my house, jumped into that little doggy bed, started chewing on that dog bone, and that was it. She was home. It was just so funny. Like it took her zero time to adjust, But other animals are going to take a lot longer. And also the smaller they are, and you have to consider, where did they come from? Did they come from an abusive environment? Did they come from a stressful environment? Have they ever even been around people before? My kitten Whiskers, he was a feral cat. He had never even been around people before, so I had to approach that from a whole different angle. But a lot of it will just depend on the cat themselves. As to how long it will take them to adjust. Some it'll be a few days, some it'll be even weeks for your kitten to adjust. But just try to be patient and help them to feel secure and safe in their environment. And some of the kind of signs that you'll know that your kitten is kind of settling in is if they start exploring more, if they start playing more, if they're purring contentedly in your lap, if they're snuggling more, if they have a good appetite, if they like their litter box and they go to their litter box regularly. These are really solid signs that your kitten is adjusting, not only adjusting, but that they're happy in their new home, right? These are all the things that we want, right? I do suggest watching a video called The Secret to Your Cat's Happiness by cat expert Jackson Galaxy. If you don't know about Jackson Galaxy, you need to know about Jackson Galaxy if you're getting a new kitten, okay? He's really, really good. He had a TV show on Animal Planet called My Cat from Hell, and he would go into people's houses and he would help them with all these, difficult issues that they had with their cat. But he's got a fantastic YouTube channel, and I'm going to give you a link to his video called The Secret to Your Cat's Happiness, and that has a lot of really great tips to welcome your new kitten home and all the things you can do to make your kitten healthy and happy. Remember that each kitten is unique in how they adopt, so take cues from your kitten's behavior, as to how they are adopting, okay? It's not textbook. They're not all going to be the same. Now, here is some motivation for you to be patient with your new kitten. A happy, content kitten makes a well-behaved cat. Okay, so cats who are stressed out, fearful, anxious, they all seem to have really sometimes serious behavioral issues. They have litter box issues. They have biting issues. They have separation anxiety issues. They have destructive behavior issues. Do you know what I mean? So it really is worth it to you when you bring the new kitten home to make them feel comfortable, safe, loved. Make sure their needs are met, their litter box needs, all of it. Put the time in the beginning while they're young so that you will have a well-behaved and content cat for the rest of the cat's life. It really is worth the initial investment in your time, okay? Just briefly, introducing your new kitten to other pets. Just, be safe. Again, I'm going to ask you to watch Jackson Galaxy's video because he gives some really good tips, and also just on his YouTube channel, he's got a lot of videos about introducing other cats to each other and introducing like dogs and cats and stuff. So basically just start with controlled meetings. Make sure things are supervised. Keep your kitten in a safe area. Don't put your kitten in a situation where they're risking confrontation with another animal, or they think they have to try to get away, or they think they have to defend themselves. It's okay to let your other pets sniff around the new kitten, but keep them at a distance. Don't let the dog, even if your dog's like, oh, I love the new kitten and everything. Again, how does this feel to the kitten? How does this feel to the kitten to have a golden retriever? You know what I mean? But also for safety's sake, be supervise. If you have a dog, keep the dog on a leash. Supervise. Have a hold of that dog before you just let him loose with the kitten in the house. And don't make your kitten make their own way in this, okay? So, obviously pets can very happily live together. Dogs and cats can live together. I've had several cats at a time. I've had dogs with cats. Everybody gets along. It's fine. But you do have to be careful. And especially with a small kitten. One of the things that's most important when you're introducing pets is body language. Watch for signs like wagging tails, ears up, soft eye blinks. Those are all good vibes. But if there's tense posture, if there's hissing, if there's growling, if there's swatting, give it a break. All right? Don't let that stuff escalate. Okay, watch the body language, not only of your kitten, but also of your other pets. And you know what? If your kitten is hissing, oh, isn't that so cute? No. Do you know what I mean? Don't put the kitten in a position where they feel like they have to defend themselves. Now, if they're going to hiss a couple times, whatever, that's how cats, that's their way of saying back off. Okay, fine. But don't let it escalate. Don't put it where it's a terrible situation for your kitten. Do you know what I mean? Just controlled meetings. Start with that and then kind of go slowly with it. There is a Jackson Galaxy, I'm sorry, I can't talk today, video called Cat Body Language and Basic Introduction Tips. That's a really good video about specifically how to introduce your kitten to other cats or dogs that you might have in your home. Also going to give you a link for clicker training for cats. That you might like. And if I remember, I'll give you a link also for a cat training ebook that's really good. I'll try to remember to give you the link to that as well. Keep your interactions with your pets peaceful, respectful. Make sure that each pet has their own safe place to retreat to. Also realize that some pets just might not mesh. You know, like for example, I had a miniature dachshund once. Well, I've had a couple of miniature dachshunds, but the second one that I had, she had no use for other animals, like none. Now it could be she came from a dog rescue place where there was tons of dogs. It was like literally dog eat dog. You had to fight for your food. You know what I mean? That might be why she had no use for other animals. She very much wanted to be the only pet. But when I adopted her, I had 2 cats, and she just had no use for them. She didn't play with them. She didn't care about them. She didn't hurt them. She didn't do anything to them. But she just didn't have any use for them. You know, she just didn't want to. Whereas my first miniature dachshund that I had 100 years ago, I had a cat as well, and oh my God, they were best friends. They would run and play and roll around on the floor together. They loved each other. You know, so every pet is different. So if some of your pets like, oh, I really hoped that the cat would like the new kitten, well, maybe they won't. You know, maybe your dog won't like the cat. You know, don't force anything. You know, obviously our hope is that everybody's going to live joyfully and, you know, everybody's going to be great and everybody's going to love each other, have fun, play and everything. But sometimes it just doesn't happen. Okay, so just be prepared for that, you know, sometimes they might not mesh, but you don't want a situation where the animals are fighting. You don't want any sort of violence going on, you know, that sort of thing. Also, there's an article from Pet MD, How to Introduce Your Kitten to Your New Home. I'll give you the link to that as well. Also, what does a new kitten need? Like I told you, I'm going to give you a link in the description box. I did an article and a video called What Does a New Kitten Need? I'll link that video for you. But I'm also going to give you the link to sign up for a printable list of all the things that your new kitten needs. This is my boy Whiskers. He's bigger than this now. He's 4 years old now, and he was much smaller than this when I got him, but I don't know exactly how old he was here. He was less than a year, I think, but look at him. He's beautiful. He's a beautiful boy. I love him so much. And like I said, he was very young, and he was also a feral kitten when I got him. I'm also going to give you my post and video called How to Take Care of a Kitten Step-by-Step Guide. Especially if this is your first time owning a kitten, you might want to go ahead and watch that video and you know, go to that post and get those tips, because it's really going to help you with every aspect of caring for your cat. Okay, so if you're a brand new kitten owner, first time cat owner, go ahead and check that out. You're going to find a lot of great tips in there. Now, like I talked about, I know this is sad, and, you know, I don't know, maybe it's not even appropriate for me to put this in because we're talking about you getting a new kitten. But you know it's important because, like I said, sometimes people get a new pet for whatever reason, it doesn't work out. So what to do if you don't want your new kitten anymore? It might be super disappointing, but if you discover things with your new kitten that are just not working out, please do the right thing and find the kitten a new home. And you know what? You don't necessarily have to feel guilty about it. I do think that people should be responsible and not just go pick up a pet and then a week later they decide they don't want them. You know, you don't want to be irresponsible. But if you've adopted this kitten and you had good intentions and you tried everything and for whatever reason it's not working out, you know, try not to beat yourself up and feel really guilty about it. The thing to feel guilty about would be to keep the kitten when you know that your home is not the best home for the kitten, right? That's what you should feel guilty about. Or being irresponsible and getting rid of the kitten in some terrible way. That would be something to feel guilty about. But if it just didn't work out, don't feel guilty about it. If you need to find a new home for your kitten, I'm going to ask you to read my post called What to Do If You Don't Want Your New Kitten Anymore. I'm going to give you the link to that. It's a step-by-step guide on what to do, how to find a new home for your kitten. And it's not that hard. You know, it's really not that hard. So please go ahead and do the right thing if it works out that you just don't want your new kitten anymore. So I'll go ahead and I'll give you a link to that post, and it's a step-by-step guide on what you need to do if it doesn't work out. You know what I mean? But I'm hoping that it will, and you know what? It probably will, because you're here watching this video, and if you've gone so far as to go to YouTube and get some tips on how to be a good kitten mama or papa, you know, if you're researching how to do the right thing for a pet, then chances are you are a good pet owner, and this new kitten is very fortunate to have you. And I hope that it works out, and I hope that the cat has a long and happy life and gives you lots of joy as All of my cats have. I had one cat live for 20 years. I had one live for 14 years. I had one live for 20 years. And I'm hoping that my current cat, Whiskers, will live 20 years or more. Who knows? Anyway, thank you so much for watching. I hope this was helpful. Don't forget to grab the printable list in the description box. Go ahead and subscribe if you want to stick around and learn more about being a good cat owner or a dog owner. My name is Deborah, and my website is peoplelovinganimals.com. Thanks again.